We're back on the Sportsmax Zone. Trinidad and Tobago's Dylan Carter ended his 2021 season in style with a silver medal and a national record swim in the 50-meter butterfly at the recent FINA World Championship. Carter clocked a national record, 21.98 seconds. The 25-year-old is the active national record holder in Trinidad and Tobago in 9 different events, including the 50-meter butterfly. Carter, not for the first time on the Sportsmax Zone, joins us now to speak about his experiences over what could be considered a successful season. Dylan, welcome to the Zone again.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, great always to have you on the Sportsmax Zone. Let me start here. Your season ended well. Your Tokyo Olympics outing may not have measured up to your objectives, but what would your report card be on your 2021 campaign?
I'll give it a B. You know, I think it was a strong campaign. I think the first half of the year was obviously less than spectacular, but I think that I managed to turn it around in the second half of the year for the short course season, and I think it turned out quite well, and I'm happy to cap it off the way that I did.
Yeah, there was a lot of swimming in the ISL series, Dylan. You spent a lot of time in Europe after Tokyo. How much do you think that set you up for the FINA World Short Course?
I think it was a massive setup. I think that the level of racing and that consistent competition, there's nothing like it in the world of swimming outside of the ISL, and I think it's irreplaceable. And that level of fitness and race experience that I had from, essentially 2 months of racing at ISL, it got me really, really fit, and it got my race details nailed down, so I knew exactly what I had to do by the time I got around to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I know you had some outstanding performances in the U.S. collegiate program with University of Southern Cal. Is that currently your training base?
No, I haven't been at USC. I did stop in right before the Olympics for about a month, and my performances kind of improved a little bit. I was in San Diego for a little while, but I'm not training there anymore. I've been in Trinidad training since the Olympics. I've been back at home training mostly, a little bit on my own and a little bit with Coach Dexter Brown down here. So it's been great to be home and to get a little bit more family time, because I definitely sacrificed a lot of that over my years in SoCal.
Yeah, I want to go with that point a little bit there, Dylan, because it was only last week on the show I was lamenting the fact that for our Caribbean swimmers to perform consistently at the world class levels, they almost seem to have to be based in the USA or somewhere outside of the Caribbean, where the infrastructure, the coaching, the competition is significantly higher than we have here in the Caribbean. Could you comment on that for me? I mentioned that in the 90s, Anil Roberts, the TNT coach, had coached Leah Martindale to a final position at the 96 Olympic Games, which was the year you were born, by the way. And Siobhan Cropper, he also coached those two athletes to sustain world-class performances. How difficult is it for the Caribbean to transition from a position of almost an inability to produce world-class swimmers based here in the Caribbean?
I think that it is a big challenge. I think that it is definitely not impossible. And I think that at this stage in my career, have the experience and a lot of expertise that I gained from a lot of foreign coaches. And with that expertise, I'm able to come back home, and I know what I need to do. I know myself, and I can train down here and work with local coaches. We have the facilities. I don't want for anything down here. I think the thing that I wanted for was maybe a coach or someone that was kind of on my page in the way that I think I need to train. I think I found that in Coach Dexter Brown, and I hope that, more and more coaches can kind of modernize their coaching style. And I think that modernization in coaching is what will lead to more and more local performances in the future.
Yeah, Dylan, yourself and Alia Atkinson, who has now called it quits, along with the Bahamian Joanna Evans, have been the swimmers that have been carrying the Caribbean flag pretty high. I know there's some talent coming out of Curacao and Aruba and so on. How likely is it that we could see other names popping up from the Caribbean region to join yourself and Joanna Evans, now that Alia has stepped away, in the near future?
I think it's likely. I think that swimming is faster and faster than it has ever been, and it's improving, and times are getting faster each year. I think with the ISL, there's a facility for professionals now to take their career beyond college and to make a bit of money. So I think that that's going to keep a lot of athletes that are at that level in the game beyond college. And we're going to see people from the Caribbean swimming at this high level. And I really hope to see it. We have the talent. We have the facilities. We have athletes that have done it. Myself, Alia, Joanna, George, Bovell, the list goes on and on, So once there's some of us doing it that can inspire another generation, there will be more that's going to do it.
Dylan, I want to talk to you about Tokyo, because we covered Tokyo wall-to-wall here on Sportsmax for the entirety of the Olympics and saw all of your races. Is it that there was a sense of, I don't want to say competitive awkwardness about the Olympics being held in the way it did, and the uncertainty, and then the news that it was on and then having to prepare for it? But would you say that the Tokyo came about when you and so many others weren't quite in the best flow, weren't quite in the best space for competition at that level? Would you say that?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that myself, look, it worked in the favor of a lot of people. So I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say, athletes couldn't perform at Tokyo because there's a postponement or whatever, because a lot of people had the year of their life or the meet of their life in Tokyo. But I think for myself and a few others, the extra year was just a bit exhausting. It was a bit extra year of, pressure on yourself building up within you, and I think that just really drained me coming down to the end. And I couldn't really, swim to the best of my capacity. And I think that as soon as that sort of pressure and weight was lifted after Tokyo, it was like a breath of fresh air and a big sigh, and I was able to kind of move on from this thing that I had just been waiting for so long. And I think myself and a lot of other athletes kind of can relate to that.
Yeah, it was pleasing to see the young Iranian early in the medal round of the swimming event, winning a medal for his country, landing gold. And I was saying to Alia Atkinson, who was my co-host on swimming duties, that look, beg your pardon, Janelle Atkinson. Here I go again, Alia. Janelle Atkinson, she wouldn't forgive me. Good afternoon, Janelle, wherever you are. Working with Janelle, and we were saying that, look, it is so good to not see the swimmers from the usual places, the usual suspects breaking through. And I say that to ask you this. Do you think that there is the path in front of you to be one of those guys from a place that is not usually on the medal podium at the Olympics to really get there for the next cycle? Is that you think within your orbit?
Oh, yeah. Of course, it's within my capability. I'm physically capable to do it. I'm fast. I can do it. Whether or not it will happen, I can't say yes or no, because so many things play into that. Your training, your health, your mental state. It just comes down to that day that comes around once every 4 years. So you could be a great athlete with Olympic champion potential, but, never see it. Just because of the way, the dice fall. It's unfortunate that the Olympics come around once every 4 years. But I do firmly believe that I can be on the podium. And I think that I have been consistently learning throughout my years. And I think now I have more knowledge about how I perform and what makes me perform well than I ever had. And I think that as time goes on, I only become better and better equipped, and the likelihood becomes higher for me.
Dylan, the fact we noted that. Well, I noted how the tribute you paid to your parents after your medal win at the World Short Course event recently. And I'm saying to myself, you hear so many horror stories, especially from athletes in tennis, about how their parents were like demons in their lives, hovering over them. Andre Agassi tells a fascinating tale in his autobiography, and there are many other tennis players I could tell you about who spoke of the dread of being under the shadow of their parents, pushing them in this era when they really just wanted to live as children. I say that to ask you about the impact that your parents have played in your life, helping you to this point in a very, very promising career.
Yeah, my parents have been massive and they've always been very supportive. It hasn't been a fairy tale relationship, and we obviously have our falling outs, definitely. But I think that regardless of, whatever terms we are on or, anything like that, I think that they always have my best interests. And I know that they just want to see me succeed. And sometimes they'll say things that you don't necessarily want to hear, but it's all out to their best interests. And I think that, they have been in my corner for my entire career. I know they will be there for me as long as I am doing this. So I really had to just, dedicate that one to them, I think.
Finally, Dylan, there was a time when the swimming section of the Olympics was, people would, looking on it now and again and wait for the track and field to start, because you know how Caribbean people love their track and field. But I can tell you that narrative has changed solidly, because people were with us deep from the moment the swimming started, because there are so many Caribbean competitors in the water competing for different nations. Lance touched on this earlier with a previous question to you, but how does it make you feel as a competitor to know that the sport that you're competing in has the interest of those you are representing in TNT and in the Caribbean more broadly?
Man, that's all I want. It's a sport that I love deeply, and it's a sport that has done so much for me. And all that I want is for it to be appreciated and to get that love from the Caribbean. I think us and all the athletes, we deserve it. We work very hard. It's not an easy sport. Of course, kudos to the track and field athletes. Those have been the traditionally strongest ones for us as Caribbean nations, and they deserve their attention. But I feel very proud to hear you say that swimming is pulling a little bit of traction these days.
Dylan Carter, always a pleasure talking to you here on the Sports Max Zone. Enjoy the rest of your holiday and all the best for 2022.
Thanks so much. It was a pleasure, guys.
Yeah, Dylan Carter there, very, very outstanding. He was showing a lot of promise as a teenager, and he's delivering as a senior as well. George, he said something that was pretty interesting as far as I'm concerned when he spoke about the pressure of preparing for Olympics every 4 years. And he used the word, unfortunately, it's every 4 years. We have a segment coming up where we're going to discuss whether FIFA. World Cup football should go every 2 years instead of every 4 years. And it just lit a bulb in my head when I heard him say that.
Yes, indeed, because the good form and the period when you're injury free, it may not last another cycle. So you'd hope that the cycle was shorter so you could get in. Yes. But let me tell you, when we were doing the Olympics and Dylan swam, I can say with all honesty here that for most of the Caribbean swimmers, them competing and them completing their circuit in the pool, whatever distance the race was good enough for me, because they were there getting the experience. Dylan was that one Caribbean athlete who I felt disappointment at his results. You know why? Because he has the potential to do better. And I was disappointed for him.
Yes.
Not vexed with him, but I was saying I'm disappointed that Dylan Carter hasn't gone further in the event, because this is the world-class talent we have here. No disrespect to the others. They're there for the outing to acquit themselves at the top level and to see how far they can go. But this man already knew that. And and that's a measure of the quality that he has. And, I really hope he can stay injury-free.
Yes.
And the next cycle finds him in tip-top physical condition to do his talent justice.
That's for sure. And his short course world silver medal recently confirms that he is, in fact, world-class. Dylan Carter. Still to come on the Sports Max Zone, we take a close look at FIFA's plan to host the World Cup every 2 years, with star players voicing opposition to the proposed move.